Black Panther. This film is directed by Ryan Coogler and stars Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa / Black Panther alongside Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, and Dana Guerrera, and countless other great actors and actresses. T'Challa returns home to Wakanda following the death of his father in Captain America Civil War. He must take up the mantle of king and all the struggles known and unknown that come along with that responsibility. For those new to my channel, I always do spoiler-free reviews, so this will be spoiler-free. This is probably the most hyped film of the year. Does it live up to that hype? I honestly don't think any film could live up to the type of hype that the media has thrust onto this movie. However, Black Panther is still a great entry into the Marvel Universe and a pretty great film in general, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Being a huge comic book fan, I always thought Black Panther was an awesome character. I loved him in the Illuminati comics. I loved him in Storm's short stint on Fantastic Four, as well as all the stuff with him and Storm. And of course, I loved him in the Avengers comics. And ever since Captain America got his vibranium shield, I wanted to see Wakanda brought to the big screen. There have been hints since Age of Ultron, and now we get to see Wakanda, and it is everything I had hoped. I love the design, and the sweeping camera shots really give the city some scale and depth. And there is a lot of African culture put into the design, which is an important piece in making you believe that this is a hidden, technologically advanced civilization in the heart of Africa. And that same design translates well into the costume design. I don't claim to be a costume designer, but I can tell that a lot of work went into every single one of these outfits. So let's transition over to the acting, because there are some great performances here by everyone involved. There's no wink link in the massive cast. Chadwick Boseman may be accused of being a bit flat early in the movie, but that's just really how T'Challa is in the comics. He's very smart and a reserved character. And then as his beliefs and sovereignty are challenged by Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, Boseman really kicks in a high gear, delivering an amazing performance. Even so, that is almost outdone by Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, who is the best Marvel villain since Loki. The best villains feel as fleshed out as the heroes, and more than that, you have to be able to understand and on some level identify with them, and you can definitely see Killmonger's position even if he is going about it the wrong way. More than a hero and a villain character, there are a huge cast of supporting characters that are given a good amount of time to grow, allowing for some really great performances. I am now in love with Lupita Nyong'o. She plays Nikita, and as she's a Wakanda spy who has a sordid past with T'Challa, I really loved her performance. Dana Guerrera is amazingly powerful in the role of a royal bodyguard. The great thing is that these side characters don't feel like side characters. They have real dimension and are an integral part of filling out this world and pertaining to the actual overall story. And this story is delivered really well. Even if it does take some time to really kick into gear, a lot of that comes down to a poor decision to not utilize Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger with more screen time. He is a great part of this movie, but he is missing for a lot of the runtime. Keeping his appearances consistent throughout the film probably would have helped with some of the pacing early on in the movie. There's obviously a lot of establishing that needs to be done to introduce us to the world of Wakanda, and that time is well spent, because by the end of the film you really view Wakanda as a real place with people and culture. It's not just a CGI city somewhere. However, at times the pacing does suffer a bit early on because of this. Unlike most Marvel films, this film isn't really about the action scenes. It is about the struggle of its characters internally, but some of the action scenes that we do get are pretty good. Specifically a car chase scene, which is shot really well. Love the colors and the look of that. I also loved some of the one-on-one fights because there's some real stakes going on there. I got really into that. And then the action scenes at the end are pretty awesome, but I would have liked to see it on a much bigger scale. I feel like it was toned down a little bit too much to where we didn't get the full scope of what was happening. And then one of the fights towards the end, the color scheme at one point was just really distracting. Same issue with the opening sequence in the film. Having a black costume in the dark, you really need to work with the lighting to make it visually work. As an audience, we shouldn't be having to try and squint to make out what's happening. And that opening shot is one of the few times that shaky cam is also utilized. so it makes it even harder to make out what was happening. I really wish that opening shot had given us a better idea of the abilities of Black Panther. Outside of those few action scenes with some really poor lighting, I really love how colorful this movie is. There's a lot of black and purple here, which just so happen to be two of my favorite colors, and an underground scene uses some CGI lighting that reminded me of the luminescent planet of Pandora and Avatar. It looked really good. Even again, it was just hard to see certain things whenever they were happening. I think the lighting could have been a little bit better. One of the things that really makes Black Panther work as a film is that it isn't a standard origin story. This is about T'Challa coming to terms with his responsibility as a king, the Black Panther, and finding out what both those things mean to the future of Wakanda. His throne is challenged, as are his beliefs. This film feels more like a sequel in the way that it builds on the characters by passing over a lot of tired tropes that a lot of superhero origins movies fall into, which is why this is not really an origin movie. Before giving my final score for Black Panther, I feel the need for a quick public service announcement, so you'll know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! I've noticed many of the reviews for Black Panther bringing politics and race into them for both positive and negative results. For the most part, the reviews of this film are really great with a current Tomato Fresh rating of 97. However, if you start to look at what these reviews actually say, it brings up the racial implications of the movie. And if you're an average moviegoer, it's completely fine and great to talk about those things, but if you are claiming to be a movie critic / reviewer, you need to take those types of thinking out of your review, because talking religion, politics, race, and societal climate does something awful to your review. If you start talking about those things, the review is no longer if the movie is good or not. It becomes a mouthpiece for your own personal, religious, political, and racial view of the current societal climate. The review is no longer about the movie, rather its societal and political impact. Your review should always be about the movie itself, and if you want to talk about the implications of that on real society, that should be something you do outside of your review. And if the movie itself has its own political, religious, or societal statements, you can talk about that message as it works with the film, not in how you yourself personally think of that message, just its execution of their intended message in the movie. Now that PSA is out of the way, I'm going to touch on the politics that director Ryan Coogler puts forth in the movie, and if they work or not, without revealing any spoilers. I think that in the context of this film, the racial issues really worked well and resulted in a lot of the internal struggles in the movie. There were a few moments that I felt the dialogue was a bit too heavy-handed though, but for the most part I think it all worked out well. And of course, on the world stage, the politics provide a lot of struggles as well, mostly in regards to the new King T'Challa and where he sees Wakanda's future. None of the politics in the movie are forced upon the audience, but rather used as a plot device to strengthen the story they're trying to tell. Nothing's overtly preachy here. It is pretty much all in service to the story and told from the perspective of the characters, not from the perspective of the creators. Agreeing or disagreeing with the perspectives personally is not relevant to this review. So per my PSA, don't expect me to comment on that, because I'm not a hypocrite. So with all that down, let's get to my final thoughts on Black Panther. Positives and negatives. Black Panther is not only a great entry into the Marvel Universe, it's a great movie in general, as I said in the beginning. It immerses you into a world, it gives us great characters with real struggles, a hero you can root for and a villain that you can understand. Negatives, some of the fight scenes were somewhat underwhelming, and Michael B. Jordan is not utilized enough early on in the film. Not a whole lot of negativity for this movie for me. I think it all worked out really well and I enjoyed it. Black Panther does a rare feat of leaving you wanting more. I want to see more Wakanda, and I want to see more of these characters and the new challenges they may face in a sequel. So in the end, I'm going to give Black Panther 8.5 Bagheeras out of 10. If you like this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe, or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm Geechu64 and I'll always tell you the truth.